Nice.
What's up, you guys? The hangout is live. I'm here with Assad from 52 Cards. I was gonna try to get more people in here, but you know what? I'm on vacation. I'm in my nice little home in Michigan, here alongside with my girlfriend, and visiting family for the first time. And but I said I was gonna do this at the beginning of the month, so here we are with myself in my bedroom that I grew up in, doing magic and all that fun stuff, and Assad from San Jose, California. That's where you're at right now, right, Assad?
That's right. What's up, everyone? It's Assad from 52 Cards, and we're going to talk about the pass. Right?
Yes. We're going to answer questions. I think we'll probably go over. I have questions here written down from a month ago or so that are more generalized, frequently asked questions, and then Assad and I will give both of our opinions on that, about those questions, and then we can take either other magic-related questions or questions on the pass, but we do want to cover a lot on the pass. And finally, I've gotten enough comments of people basically saying, I'm unsubscribing because you talk about the pass too much, or you put up too many videos on the pass, or what's up with all these videos, which is good because for the last 4 years, all people have been asking is for, oh, do another pass tutorial, or go over the pass again, or can you teach us more about the pass, or I'm sure Assad has gotten questions of all the slights, like, hey, how can I get help with the pass? So I wanted to kind of, I don't know, annoy fans to the point of like, hey, all the information I have, so after this month, hopefully we'll never have to talk about it again.
Yeah, no, I think this hangout's a good idea because there's so many nuances to the pass, so many like tiny details that you can talk about that you probably wouldn't want to talk about in like a 5-minute tutorial, but in this kind of venue, we can really break certain aspects of it down and just clear up any questions that people have. This is going to be good, I think. It's going to be really helpful for the people tuning in.
Yes, and we have some comments coming in from Hammy Jeffrey and other people saying what's up and comments. So, hi, you guys. Thanks for joining us live. We are live right now. It is the New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2014 at 2 o'clock Eastern Time and 11 a.m. Pacific Time. So if you're here live, thanks for joining us. So I hope you guys have some questions ready. But without further ado, here's some other questions, or previous questions, is when is a good time to execute the pass? Assad?
Yeah, I mean, the best time is when no one's really looking at your hands. I mean, if you have a good enough pass, you can do it whenever. There are people who have almost completely brandable passes, but if you're still practicing, then that's totally fine because the pass is meant to be done kind of in a moment of relaxation, or like an offbeat is what you call it, right? So you do the pass when there's not as much heat on the deck. So you have a card return to the pack, you have your break, and then at some point you talk blah blah blah, you make eye contact with them, very casually bring your hands together, you do the pass, and then that's like the flow of things. At least that's the way I go about it. But yeah, it's best to do it when there's the least amount of attention on your hands. That's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the same exact thing. The whole idea of you having a break and just staying relaxed, and then when the time finally calls for it, but you can just be talking as long as you have your pinky break in where you need it to. You can talk for like 3 minutes if you really wanted to. Not that you would, because it's magic routine, but at the same time, that moment of, like Assad said, relaxation, you finally just bring your hands together and just like hit it quickly, and that's the best time to execute it, is when no one's really looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another question. Again, these are just frequently asked questions, so if you guys have your own questions that are here live with us, please ask them, or if you have any magic-related generalized questions. We don't have a time frame for how long this is going to go. I'd like to keep it under an hour or an hour max. But what bigger movements should you do to disguise the pass when you execute it? What bigger movements should you do to disguise the pass when you execute it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start. I'll talk about a movement that I haven't really seen anyone else talk about. Most people, when they do the pass, let me move my camera a bit down. Like the movement that you see often is like the rocking from up to down, right? But here's another one that works really well. It's actually where you do kind of like a body swing, right? So instead of going up and down, now you have the card returned here, for example, and then because of your performance or whatever, you justify the reason of doing a body swing from left to right. It's the perfect time to do the pass. It's covered really well. So that's something that you guys can play around with. Just very naturally do like a swing like that. In the process, you do the pass and it's invisible. So that's a good one for you. I'm sure you probably have one or two other ways of movements to cover it.
I mean, yeah, the biggest movement that I like to do is, I guess I'll stand up to show it because I didn't really demonstrate it well, is if you are just standing up, a big movement that I do to cover it is instead of using the classic pass, this is more the Herman pass, but just squaring the cards up on your knee.
Yeah, I like that.
Controlling it to the top. And that is a big movement to cover the small movement of the Hoffman pass, which is arguably easier than the classic pass. And it just hides it really well, and it seems natural, just like squaring it up on your knee, I guess. People don't really question that one too much versus a big hand motion.
Yeah.
But I have seen so many videos of guys just moving to the right or whatever direction that cover of moving from left to right or what have you.
Right. Another thing I see, which I think is kind of a mistake, this rocking motion from up to down, it's quite popular now. But what some people do with it is instead of it's supposed to make it look more natural, right? But instead, what I think when beginners start doing it, they'll do something like this. It's like this sudden jolting action, and it's just like a dead giveaway that something happened. So keep in mind that this covering motion, it is meant to disguise the pass, but it's also to make it look more natural. So you don't want to do any sudden movements. You don't want to do any nothing too quick. It should look like nothing is happening, right? So you want to be careful when bringing in these larger movements to make them look smooth, not alert, suspicious.
A big thing that I see when I'll meet fans or aspiring magicians and I'll ask to see their pass because I think it is such an important move to learn and so beneficial to learn that I'll ask to see their pass, and when they go to do the invisible pass, just like Assad said more of a jolting motion. But what I tend to see is a huge motion. It's supposed to be somewhat small and just like the wrist moving. And I will see people going high up here and then move down. It's I'll see them trying to cover it like that as opposed to just trying to stay this natural, squaring it up, and just in a small area. So that's something I will see. So it's all about just seeing what works for you, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, depending on your environment or where you're doing this at, the larger motion that you use might change. It just depends on the situation. If you're sitting down, it's going to be different. If you're standing up, it's going to be different. So it's good to have just a few different ways to cover the pass or a few different motions, and then you're ready to go wherever you are.
As well as different passes for different environments, for different people, different surrounding areas, whether you're standing or sitting down. That's why it's good to know. So I wanted to just bombard you with all the methods that I've learned. So because they all come in handy at different times, So that's my experience from that. And then, okay, what is the best pass to use in an ambitious card routine?
I would say any pass. I mean, I actually don't use a pass in an ambitious card routine. But if you want to use a pass, then it just depends on whichever pass you're best at, I guess. I think the power in the ambitious card routine is that it's jumping to the top when it looks like nothing is happening. And if you do a pass, I guess I would say a double lift is better for the ambitious card than the passes, because in the pass, yeah, it's supposed to look like nothing happens, but there's some movement. Whereas when you do it with a double lift, there's nothing. There's just nothing to be seen. So I don't think. Actually, I like doing the ambitious card with a face-up card sometimes. Face-up pass. That's kind of a nice touch. I don't do it that much, but from time to time I will. I would never use a pass with a face-down card to make the card come to the top, just because I think there's better moves out there to achieve that in the context of that routine. But yeah, so I guess to answer the question, do a pass where it's a very visual-looking pass if you're going to do it with a face-up card. So I would normally do like a classic pass, or like a dribble pass or something, where it looks like it just melts to the top. That adds a bit of visual flair to an ambitious card routine, which otherwise isn't very visual, right? So yeah, I would do a very visual classic pass where it just looks like it jumps to the top.
Right. When I saw or read that question for the first time, I was just like, well, you don't really do the pass in an ambitious card routine. I mean, you can, and just like Assad does the dribble pass, I would leave the card face up and just do the ripple pass if I were to have it be face up and try to control it to the top.
Yeah.
There's another, I forget the way in which it goes, but basically, I think it does use a pass somehow. Oh, what it is basically you have a card face up. You leave it face up in the deck, and then you pass the card above it to the top. So you have the King of Clubs, which is our ambitious card, and then you can control it to the top, but now it's the second card from the top. And a move is basically flip over the top card, but you have a double lift here, and the King of Clubs is face up. So you flip over the next card, and basically you have the spectators snap 1, 2, they snap, and it changes. It jumps from the middle of the deck to the top. And then also from this position, you have a double lift already, so you can take the card, put it down on whatever surface, and then it jumps back to the top. So that was just...
Yeah, that's a good way to structure it, because you're one step ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea, like, even with the card face up, take 2 cards as 1, and then you make the top card change to that, which seems kind of fishy. But then you're already set up here with a double lift as well. So you can take that, put it in the middle, make it jump to the top again. You know, that is just one way. And then finally you could put it in the middle of the deck and then do the pass to show it actually visually shoot up.
Yeah, I guess one thing I'll add to that is that if you are going to use the pass in the context of an ambitious card routine, like where face up melts to the top, you have to be really good at the pass, because all eyes are going to be on the deck when you're doing it, right? So if you're beginning, if you're still practicing your pass, don't use it in an ambitious card. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention with the ambitious card, is that it is supposed to be a routine where the spectator, you allow the spectator to stare at the deck.
Yeah, that's the power of it. Yeah.
That's the power with the ambitious card, is most Magic traits there's some kind of like misdirection. There is misdirection in ambitious card routines where you want them to look somewhere else, but for the most part, you encourage them to stare at the cards the entire time. The other thing I'd say is, as far as the best pass, is that's why I taught the one-handed pass, where it's not really a pass, but the idea of you doing any pass in an ambitious card and then finally revealing to the spectator what you're doing to let them in on it. So then you can do the one-handed pass to show your dexterity and your skill and your art form of your, you know, your passion, you know? That's what I'd say.
Right.
How do you make the pass invisible?
Are you hearing this screeching noise, or is this just on my end?
I think it's just on your end. I hear a little bit of reverb from me. It's
Yeah, I maybe ask them if they're hearing it too, because if they're hearing it, then it's not so good. If I'm just hearing it, then it's no problem.
Okay. Are you guys hearing screeching, or
Like this high-pitched screeching sound?
you have headphones in, so maybe.
It might be because you're not wearing headphones and there's some feedback.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be some lag between now and the time that people start commenting.
Yeah.
But okay, let's just keep going, and then if people say something, then we'll fix it.
You don't have to listen to it with headphones in.
Yeah, no,
Oh, gotcha. No, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can.
Yeah, the screeching is still there though.
Weird.
And if I unplug my headphones, it's going to back. I'm not talking about them. I don't know. It might just be on my end, so I wouldn't really think about it. Let's just let's watch it in this session.
Plug your headphones back in. All right. So how do you make the pass invisible?
I mean, I don't think I don't think the question is completely right, because like if you're trying to make it completely invisible, then you're probably trying to impress other magicians rather than spectators. Because if you're using it in the context of a trick, or for lay people, it doesn't need to be invisible. It should be pretty close. You should be able to do it naturally and without arousing suspicion. But your goal shouldn't be to make it like so quick that it's invisible, or it should just be done in the right moment, and it should be done smoothly and silently and just naturally. I think that should be the focus rather than invisibility. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then as far as my suggestion is, just different passes are performed differently with different hands. So what I think makes my pass invisible when I execute it may not work for you, and what you do may not work for me. Like, I can't do the dribble pass like nearly as seamlessly as Assad can, and I think that looks pretty invisible. But Assad could tell you, like, yeah, this is the way to make it look invisible, and then it looks invisible, and it is, but then you may just not be able to finesse that ability. So it's really just practicing, looking in the mirror, recording, seeing. Just because you can't do the classic pass or a form of the classic pass invisibly doesn't mean you can't do the Herman pass in some kind of invisible fashion. So,
hey, Jarek, people are saying that the screeching, they are hearing it, and I think it's probably because you're not wearing headphones. So do you have any on you by any chance?
yeah, I think I should. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I do. I got some headphones right here.
I'll read through some of these comments while Jarek.
Okay, yes, please do.
There's a lot. Should I use the bluff pass or the Marlo tilt for hand sandwich? I guess we're setting up the hand sandwich. I prefer the bluff. Oh, that's Hudson. Hey, what's up, Hudson? I didn't even realize that was your question.
I always do the Marlo tilt for that.
Oh, that's interesting, because I prefer the bluff pass over the Marlo tilt, actually. But they're both great. I mean, it kind of just depends on your preference. They both
you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay.
I think it's better now. Yeah, it's much cleaner now. Hopefully they are not hearing anything either, or any of the screeching. But yeah, I think the tilt and the bluff pass. I mean, the bluff pass it's not really a pass. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that move, it achieves the same thing as the Marlo tilt. It takes the card to the second position. But it's kind of it's a bluff. So it's where you have the card returned, and then boom, it goes back into the pack. Where really, it looks like you're holding half the deck when really you're just holding one card. So it's kind of a bold thing. I think some people are afraid to use this, but it flies. It's nothing to be worried about. It's a great move. But the tilt is good too. So I would just say go with what your preference is. I mean, whichever one you're better at. I tend to use the bluff pass more. Jarek tends to use the Marlo tilt more. They're both great moves.
For the people that are afraid to do the bluff pass, I would suggest using both the bluff pass and the Marlo tilt in an ambitious card routine, in the same routine, because that way you can practice both in one short period of time and surprise yourself with what you can get away with. And then that's just, I think, the best way to learn both of those moves is to try to perform them, like in an ambitious card routine. But yeah, I always do the Marlo tilt. Boom, make it jump to the top. So interesting. It's all preference.
I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys while we're on the subject of Marlo tilts. I'll show you a nice little ad on that. I haven't done a tutorial for this yet. I don't know. I don't think you have either. But it's an addition for the Marlo tilt. So instead of, for those of you who are familiar with the basic concept, this is the tilt, right? Where you go like this, and then it's a depth illusion. So it looks like it goes into the middle, and then you move on. But here's a nice little touch that you can add to the tilt. Instead of starting from scratch, you start with a card in-jogged in the middle of the deck. So before you even get into the tilt. But when you hold it at this angle, they can't see that in-jog, right? So now if you do the tilt, it's the same thing. It's a depth illusion. It looks like it's going to the middle. But then you secretly push it all the way in, and then as you revolve your hand, it just looks like it's that card that's been in-jogged the whole time. And then you can very cleanly push it in without any fishiness or anything. It's just a nice little add-on to the tilt that, cleans it up a bit.
An easy way to probably get to that is if they're even looking at their card, like from the front, it could just look like this, like nothing fishy happened.
Yeah, you could do it exactly like that. Yeah.
So like from the back, you're pushing forward and peeling one card back, and that's just an easy way to set it up. But if they're looking at their card or signing it, all it takes is just a little motion like that. And they could be staring at you dead on, and you still get it.
Right. And you just want to angle the deck a little bit up, and then kind of like this, and then no one's going to see that in-jog. Unless someone's like right over here, then you don't do it. But from here, no one's going to see it.
That's an interesting little
add-on. Nice little add-on, yeah. Let's see what else everybody is saying.
What do you do if the spectators will not take their eyes off your hands? I always just say their name. I always will just say their name, get their attention up, because when people hear their name, I've beaten a dead horse with this idea. But if you learn people's names and say their names, they'll like you more, just because people like the sound of their own name.
Yeah.
And then they connect with you more because they feel like you connect with them more, just because you know their name, you remembered their name, cared enough to remember their name. And then they'll want you to succeed, so they won't be as like trying to screw you up. They'll be more in it just to enjoy it. And then when you say their name, eventually they'll like, I don't know, if you want to be as bold about it, just be like, hey Jason. And they'll like look up. I don't know, just be blunt about it. So
yeah, I mean that's kind of an interesting question to me, because when you make eye contact with someone, the natural thing to do is to return eye contact. So if they're not doing that, then something is weird, something's off, right? Either they're trying to heckle you, and in that case, don't perform for those kind of people. Like, why? If I only perform for people who appreciate what I do. I'm not going to try to impress someone who's not into it, right? So if they're trying to they're trying to give you a hard time and they're just like staring like that, then I'd say it's move on to find someone else to perform for. Or you can just ignore them. If you have other people in the group, you can kind of use some tactics to turn them against them. Because most people want to enjoy a match. Most people want to appreciate it. Most people want to look at it undisturbed and just, enjoy it. So it might just be that there's something wrong with the spectator in that case.
It is interesting when I get comments or questions from fans and emails or whatever, and they're just like, how do I impress this bully? Or how do I make this guy who's mean to me like me? And what do I do? Like, what tricks do I show to make the bully shut up? It's just like, you don't show them any tricks. You don't perform for them. You don't try to win them over. It's just like, screw them. It's like, if they're going to be a jerk to you, or then
right,
why?
They're looking for attention, so you don't want to give it to them, and you're just giving them what they want.
Right.
So, yeah, you just move on.
And that type of personality, you're not going to win that type over by trying, because then you're not really being authentic. People can pick up on inauthenticity, and so if you are trying to perform magic for a bully, but you're clearly the reason why is so you can make them look stupid or something, then they're going to pick up on that. So it's better just to, anytime that someone like that comes in to watch you perform magic, just stop performing, because if you know someone's going to come into where you're performing magic just to ruin the trick, then it's time to just stop performing, put the cards away, and chalk it up as whatever. just brush it off and try to perform later. And then all the heat, all the anger is going to go towards that bully, or toward not the bully, but towards the person who persuaded you, or influenced you to stop performing. You're gonna be like, wait, what the heck happened? Why do you stop performing? Oh, it's because this jerk off showed up. So that's I forget what I don't know how that question came up or where that came from, but I think that's a good lesson anyway, just for actually performing magic. You don't need to impress people who are being assholes to you.
Yeah, I mean that's not the point for this thing. This is for the people who. I mean, you have to pick your audience, right? Like your craft, what you're doing is for the people who enjoy it. It's not for the people who are against it, right? So it's not for everyone. You have to find the right people, or the right people have to come to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not a good mentality to have where you're trying to impress everybody. I don't think that's a good way to live.
Yeah. Tips on the hand's position in order to get speed and coverage. Wait a minute. Tips on the hands. Oh, so that your hand position. Because I talk about where I hold the cards when I talk about how that doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, I guess hand
for
position.
The pass.
It is going to be slightly different for everyone because we all have different hands, right? But for me, I hold it a little bit differently than most people do the pass. I actually, here's like the grip we're talking about classic pass right now.
Right.
So I guess a few touches that I have to my grip or to my finger positions is my first finger's on top. I think that's a nice touch because if your first finger's on top like that, when you do the pass and the first finger's still on top, that's like an added convincer, right? So that's kind of a nice little thing. But you want to be careful with that because then your nail might scratch against the top of the card and then it makes noise. So you don't want to do that. So you have to balance those two out. Fingers along the front edge like this. And then, of course, the longer fingers you have, a little bit more cover you're going to have. I have pretty tiny hands. But it's not a problem because with the motion that I add to it, it just doesn't matter. I don't need extra cover for my fingers. Other things about the grip. I mean, I don't want to break down the entire grip. You can go back and watch the tutorial to get the exact finger positions for that. What was the second part of that question? Could you say it again?
For speed and coverage.
Yeah, speed and coverage. So I wouldn't focus too much on speed at this point. Speed comes later. That's something good to practice eventually.
You have to get that muscle memory. Yeah,
get the muscle memory down. Be able to do the pass without really thinking about it. Just get very used to the motion of those packets transpiring. And then focus on smoothness. You want to be able to do it without hesitation. I think that's much more important than learning how to do it quickly, right?
And sound too.
Sound. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I just say experiment. It's all with the hand positioning and all that stuff. It's all personal preference. And while some people want their pinky like way dug deep inside of there, some people only need it just like a little bit, and some people hold the cards in the middle of the packet. I tend to hold like the very edge of the packet to clear more space.
Oh, interesting.
Assad said he puts his index finger on top. That, like, if I could get used to that, I think that is a really good idea. But I always my index finger is just kind of like free ranged, and my thumb stays on top, so my thumb keeps that same position type of look. I mean, my thumb is like Assad's index finger. It's totally just what feels, when you pick up a guitar and you go to like strum it, you don't think about, okay, which, am I left-handed or am I right-handed? Like, I write left-handed, but I play the guitar right-handed, and that's just because that's what's more comfortable. That's my preference,
Yeah. Yeah, that actually brings up a good point, because one of the questions that I get most often is if I'm left-handed, which deck should I hold the hand in? And typically, if you're right-handed, you hold the deck in your left hand, and if you're left-handed, you hold the deck in your right hand. But like what I tell people is, if you're just getting started, you might as well just hold it in your left hand, just to be consistent with everybody else, and that way it's going to be easier to learn.
I'm left-handed. I write I draw left-handed and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
I hold the cards in my left hand.
Yeah, which makes it easier for you because all the resources teach it like that with the deck in the left hand, right? So you don't have to do any reversals in your mind or anything.
Right. So yeah, all that's just personal questions.
Yeah, yeah, and it kind of going along with the question, like I think some people are under the impression that there's like one right way to do the pass. It's just not true. Everyone's going to do it a little bit differently. You have to find just what feels best for you, what suits your hand, your preference.
I think as long as you can get away with it consistently.
Yeah, I mean these tutorials are meant to be kind of
nine times out of 10 get away with it. Then who's to say you're doing it wrong? You know?
Right. So we can give you like the framework for the motions, some tips and everything. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of experimentation on your part, especially for a move like the pass, where there's just a lot that goes into it. You really have to put in your time, So you have to take these pieces of instruction and guidance and just sit in front of a mirror, actually a camera even better so that you can watch it back, and just see what looks right for you, what doesn't look right, and just cut out the stuff that doesn't look good and keep doing what does look good. And it's going to be a process.
This should be an easy, fast question to answer, but how do you do the pass so quickly?
Yeah, it's muscle memory. It comes with time, The more you do it, the quicker you're going to get at it. But honestly, I still don't think about speed when I do the pass. Not really. I mean, I do it quick enough, but I'm not trying to do it like as quick as possible when I do the pass.
Right. Because again, when we're doing it, we're trying to do it at a time when no one's looking, so we don't need it to be like as fast as possible. And even that was just like, I'd rather just do it like quickly. If I try to do it too fast, there's room for error there. See, I just bent a card because I was trying to do it too fast. If I try to do it fast, it looks like a jerking motion.
Yeah.
But if I just do it like at a comfortable speed, it kind of just looks like it just kind of looks like almost maybe I riffled the cards or something like that. And even to add a riffle onto the end of that, like I'm not worried about like speed. It's just as long as I can do it in a timely manner, comfortably and quietly, then I'm not going to do it at a time when someone's looking. So
right, and you have to keep angles in mind too, because the pass looks especially good at certain angles and looks not so good at other angles, right? So you want to make sure
that was a question asking about angles. So.
Yeah, and I think that's an important one because sometimes I see people post videos of their pass asking for feedback and stuff, and they're filming it at like the worst angle possible, and it's not a realistic angle that you would actually use in a performance. So when you're doing the pass, people should be looking down at the deck. Okay, like if you do a pass at this angle, it's always going to look bad. It's never going to look good. You have to bring it down like this. Now you can make it look good, right? So you want to angle the deck down. You want to show them the back of the cards, and that helps cover the transitioning of the packets a lot. So just keep that in mind as you practice and as you do the pass.
Yeah, when you guys are doing the pass, the spectator isn't going to be at an eye level with the deck of cards like your camera would be. It's always going to be at a downward. Well, this is too close, but the side has a better camera for that. But it is always going to be at a downward angle because their eyes will be looking towards like your waist or wherever the cards are.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's certain passes that are better for like a tabled environment. Like classic pass, I don't like doing classic pass when I'm sitting down.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's when I would use a Herman pass. I would kind of angle myself this way, and that's where like the Herman passes are really nice. Is when you're seated, and then when you're kind of at a closer, or when the deck is closer to the spectator's eye level. There's passes that are especially good for that. So classic pass I prefer standing up. Herman pass I'll do normally when I'm sitting down.
That was another question here. Was the pass is hard to do? The pass is hard to hide sitting at a table. What is a good alternative pass to do, or how do you hide the classic pass better when you can't drop your hands very far?
Yeah. So I don't do the classic pass at a table rarely. Herman pass is great for that. Even the spread pass is great for that.
Yeah, I always do. Like if I'm sitting at a table, even surrounded, I'll do the Hoffman pass or the tabletop pass to where. Tap it on the table.
Yeah.
Like my legs won't be there or whatever. So if there's a table directly over me, it's just squaring up. to. That I think is the best at the table pass to do, because I don't know, there's a certain kind of feeling towards table magic versus close-up magic. Table magic feels more like magic.
It's more elegant.
Magic is more like street. It's like grungy. It's just close up. So like you should be like hiding more. But table, I think people suspend their disbelief more, and they don't really think about moves like, oh, do you tapping the cards on the table? Maybe that's just a finessing, like almost a flourish type, just taking the cards and.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point to bring. Is like the environment in which you're performing kind of changes the flavor of the magic. Stand up is more like close up and personal. Table, it's more elegant, it's more classy, and like even like the moves, like the card production, the table card production, they're kind of more elegant, more smooth, and it's just like a different flavor.
You can suspend your disbelief more at a card with card magic, because it's a perfect environment for like, yeah, we're doing sleight of hand and type moves.
People are sitting down, so they're willing. Their attention span is greater as well. They're not going anywhere, so you can do like a longer piece of magic when you're sitting down with them. Whereas when you're standing, it's probably best to do like something quick and snappy.
They want to try to catch you. They want to. They're out to get you. Where if they're taking the time to sit down and watch you, they want you to succeed. So they're willing to forgive things like that, which isn't even really. It doesn't seem like anything to them. So I'd say that. Is there a way to make it more quiet?
Yeah, absolutely. How would you make it more quiet?
I think the biggest thing.
The better question is
you just have to clear the packets. A lot of people try to like grind them.
Yeah.
And that's where the sound comes in.
Yeah, the better question is, why is it making noise? Once you identify that,
why is it?
Then you can figure out how to make it quieter. So yeah, it's normally exactly what you said, with the two packets grinding together, and you get that kind of scrapey noise. That's no good.
And then when they crash like back on top of each other at the very end too, it's like that sound.
Yeah.
And then like that, or something like that.
Yeah, normally if you're doing like an add-on or a cover, then you don't have that second problem. But for the scraping during the transition or during the pass, I remember dealing with it. Like I used to have a slightly noisy pass, so I guess I just played around. I would do it slowly. I would do the pass very slowly until I figured out how to do it in a way so that the packets aren't scraping against each other. I just had to make minor adjustments. I had to develop that muscle memory to do it in a way so that it's not scraping. And then it might feel a little bit unnatural at first because the packets are going to be further apart than you're used to them being, but you get used to it, and then that was a bad example. You get used to it, and then eventually you can do it without the packets really touching each other.
But what you said is just like identifying where the sound's coming from first, and then fixing, finessing your technique. That's the best way to figure it out.
Another thing to note is that it's probably never going to be completely silent. Like even my pass, if you listen, I don't know if the microphone will catch it. Like there's a tiny noise, like a little bit. But the point is that it doesn't matter.
Again, at the same time, both because it's not supposed to be invisible. Yeah, it shouldn't make a sound. Like, don't get me wrong, it shouldn't make a sound. But if you're executing the pass while you're talking and while you're explaining something or telling the story or being the performing magician that you are, then they shouldn't. Your voice should be covering that sound too.
The point is that the sound.
But that doesn't mean don't try to figure out how to get it to not make sound. But don't be afraid to do it when you're performing, so you can, get used to it.
If you have a noisy pass, then definitely try to fix that. If it makes a little bit of sound, it's not a problem because you're going to be talking. No one's really like listening to the deck. If it's just a little bit of sound, don't worry about it. If it's a lot of sound, you want to fix it to the point where it's just a little bit of sound.
If you're going to do magic for 5 or more people, how do you know you can do the pass without getting busted?
Well, in a lot of cases, the more people you're performing for, the easier it is to get away with stuff, because now you have your audience members interacting with each other. You say something, and now they're like looking at each other. They're looking at you. They have a lot more things to look at, other than the deck when you have a large crowd of people, right?
And
So I wouldn't let that play.
with performing and just like entertainment, magic, and this kind of stuff in general, you have to get used to being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So a lot of that stuff just has to do with like being ballsy and just trying it and failing and then trying it again, and maybe it went a little better, maybe it went a little worse, but eventually you'll get to the point where you could be surrounded by 100 people and on a stage, and you could hit the pass at some point. It just happens so quickly and so quietly that once you get that muscle memory down, you should just get to the point where you're not really too stressed about it, or you're just comfortable in that uncomfortable environment.
Yeah, and the classic pass, I mean, is more or less an angle-proof move. I mean, I guess from every angle except for basically my angle. And even at my angle, it looks good. So, more people shouldn't really make you afraid for the classic pass just because, it's covered from angles. Herman pass is a little bit more angle sensitive, and in that case, if you have people to the left of you, then yeah, you might want to be a bit careful, or maybe you might just not want to do the Herman pass. And the classic pass, I wouldn't worry too much about angles. That's one of the advantages of the classic pass, and it's the reason why it's my preferred pass. I tend to like the classic pass more than the Herman pass, is because it's angle proof. It's more or less angle proof.
And you do have moves that you could do that where you encourage your spectators to like fully surround you. So like if they take their card and you put it into the deck, you can do that 360 pass, that 360 move, and say, encourage them, here, watch the deck. I take it and I'll show you all sides of the deck, nothing fishy, right?
Oh, the turnover pass, yeah.
Right, the turnover. And in that, you've controlled it to the top. And so that is like 10 people surrounding you. It's just a little watch, show you every side, whatever. And then you feel totally comfortable doing something like that, completely surrounded. So that's one way. Different passes, And then, I don't know why it took so long to get to this question, but small hands. What's the big problem with small hands?
Yeah, that's a question I get too on my channel quite a bit. I have pretty small hands, to be honest. I mean, they're not like super small, but probably smaller, definitely smaller than the average hand. And it's never really been an issue for me. So I think a lot of people, when they first learn these sleight of hand techniques, especially the more difficult ones, they blame their hand size on the inability to do them. But really, it just comes down to practice. My hands, or the size of my hands, has never been a blocking point for learning something. And honestly, for the pass, yeah, like if you have really small hands, the pass will be a bit more difficult. But I wouldn't let it deter you,
Right, and on top of that, I'm sure most of the people who are asking that are 12, 13, 14. You're still growing. You're still growing into your body, So right. I would just say, I said from the very beginning, just take 2 cards or like credit cards and practice the pass using 2 cards, and then you won't have the problem with trying to do it in the cards dropping all over the place and picking them up, and that trying to clear the 2 packets. If you just have the 2 cards, your small hands should get used to this, and then you can just start adding on more cards, whether it's 10 or 12 or whatever, until the point where you just keep adding and adding and adding until you get to the point where you can have a full deck of cards. You'll be good. There's also pinochle decks, which are thinner made cards. There's so
yeah, that could be kind of like a training deck for the people who have really small hands who are still growing. I used to use a pinnacle deck a little bit. I remember that. You can get them at your local grocery store still. They're not awfully popular, but you can find them here and there. They're just the length is still the same. The width is a little bit narrower. So for things like the pass, like I know in like Ninja, the Illusions DVD, like I'm pretty sure he uses a pinnacle deck.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, so I wouldn't let the hand size bother you too much. There are some moves that will be trickier in the beginning, but if you practice, like you can do it. I mean, I've seen 13, 14-year-old kids with amazing passes. You know?
Yeah. It's all practice. It really is. And just like any trick or anything, just like sleight of hand is more difficult to learn and feel comfortable with than just like flourishing. Flourishing is like a form of sleight of hand, I think. It's just a trade skill that takes more time than just learning a magic trick, which a lot of magic tricks are self-working to some extent or require little to no sleight of hand. So,
yeah, you're developing a skill, so it takes time. You know, it takes a lot of repetitions. I think that's the word that you have to keep in mind. It's thousands and thousands of repetitions that you need to do in order to be able to do it well. So,
hours over and
yeah,
over and over.
Yeah.
Well, so that's all the questions that I had from a month prior. There are people in here watching that have questions, whether it's magic-related questions or questions on the pass. So, Assad, if you see any,
Okay.
then go ahead and ask them.
Let's go through the comments and see.
I mean, people have been talking about this Magicians Against Piracy thing for quite some time. I haven't heard of this, and so
yeah. I mean, I don't know too much about it. I'm not like, I was a part of the Facebook group for a little while. I don't know. I think I don't think we should give them any attention because that's what they want, and some of them are just like bullies, and I
don't even know what that is or what that started. If it was an official thing, something that like Theory 11 started, or what, I have no idea what it is. So
let's just not even give them any attention. That's what they want.
Okay, so
good. But I will say I think it's a genuine cause. Like it's not the cause that I have an issue with. It's the people who are running it that are just kind of I don't know. There's something up with them. But I mean, in general, yeah. Like I guess the main thing is some creators feel like, not necessarily YouTube, but there is this culture within the Magic community where some creators are getting gypped, or where they'll spend a lot of time marketing an effect, they'll spend a lot of time producing an effect, and then someone else comes and just like rips it from them, taking away their work. Of course, it's a problem. It's kind of it's not a great thing. But then you have to balance that out with the material that has been around for a while and that is public domain. So I guess what it comes down to is, I think as teachers we have some responsibility for what we teach and what we don't teach. But
I'm probably gonna stop teaching soon.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Just focus on wrestling and stuff.
Well, that and just other videos. It's annoying. Truthfully, you always get fans and emails and stuff asking for like awesome tutorials. Like, where's the good stuff? Give me a good tutorial, and then you give them a good tutorial, and they get pissed off because it's too good. They're just like, you shouldn't be teaching this. It's too good. It's just like, well, what do you guys want?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the guidelines that I use is, and I don't have like a strict written down set of guidelines, but it's kind of a gut feeling for me. If I feel like I'm harming somebody by teaching something, I'm not going to do it. Right. So the stuff that I teach is more or less public domain stuff that has been published for a long time. It appears in multiple sources, and it's just it's just classic material. So
right.
I mean, that's how I go with it. Now there are others who there's like some people on YouTube who they just buy a camera and then they buy a marketed effect from like Theory 11 or Illusionist, and then they just do this horrible tutorial on that basically reveals the effect. It doesn't even teach it. It just like reveals the effect so that people don't have to buy it to figure out how it's done, and then
right. It's not even a way that teaches you like how you can actually do it. It's just like here's how it works. It's just like, well, I don't really understand the method. It's just,
right. And it's just kind of a dick move to the creator who just spent all that time to like release it, right? So yeah, I mean, you have to find the right material, the material that is, and honestly, it's not even a problem for teachers because the best material was published so long ago. I mean, this new stuff that's coming out these days, like it's just variations on the classic stuff.
Right.
So that's why I focus on the classic stuff, because to me that's the best stuff. And of course, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Like I have respect for most other creators, and can work together.
Right. Here's a question. We get this question a lot, so I guess it's good to bring up. Someone asked, how do you stop your hands from shaking? And that just comes from performing a lot to a lot of different people. If
Yeah.
there was, usually if there's ever one piece of advice like people ask me for, like when I meet magicians live and they want a tip or whatever, it's that it's to perform. It's better to perform one trick to 100 people than it is to perform 100 tricks to one person.
Yeah.
So the
I would, I
best
would agree with
advice
that.
is just get really good at get good at like 3 to 5 tricks and perform that for 1,000 people if you can.
Yeah, I mean the shakes is a kind of a common problem. I've noticed that even for me, like if I haven't performed for a couple months, which hasn't happened for a while, but like
It
you know,
happens because you're excited. It's not
yeah,
because you're nervous. It's
like if you
like,
go on hiatus for a while and you come back, like even if you're already good and even if you already know the material, like you still might get the shakes just because you're it's an uncomfortable moment because you haven't done it in a while. So it's just a nerves thing. You're excited, you're maybe a little bit anxious, but it goes away quickly. Well, okay, I shouldn't say it goes away quickly. It could take some time for some people, but the more you perform, you repeatedly do it, you get comfortable with the sensation of performing for people and people watching you, and people giving you their full attention. Then you're gonna relax into it, and you're gonna be at ease. But it's a natural thing. I don't like hold it against yourself. We all go through it at some point or
and
another.
it's not just magicians.
It's not just
It's
it's like
every kind of performer.
yeah,
Musicians,
this is just a human condition.
you
But
know,
yeah, just keep practicing. You'll get over it.
it's a phase that you have to go through.
Yeah.
and and even if you do it for 10 years, you could finally get a big break and get like a TV show or some kind of live show on Vegas, or performing at an award ceremony or something, and then you'll get the shakes again even though you've been doing it for 20 years. So it's just something you're going to have to enjoy it, because it won't be around forever. So you'll look back and be like, oh, I remember when I used to get nervous doing magic. It's like that was exciting, you know.
Yeah.
So and the other question I got was like, Jarek, do you get nervous performing magic to magicians? And the truth is, I don't really perform magic to magicians because I figure they know everything, or I'd rather watch. I'd rather me perform. Magicians watch me perform for strangers than I'd rather watch magicians perform for strangers. Like, if I'm ever hanging out with Kalen or Assad, we're not showing each other tricks. We're showing other people tricks that aren't in the circle. So
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, but there are still a number of magicians out there who are kind of like magicians, and they practice sleight of hand techniques and different effects that aren't necessarily extremely powerful for lay people, but they fry magicians. So I never fell into that. But I'm with you. I focus on performing for lay people, and those are the effects of the practice. And I'm not too concerned with trying to fool other magicians.
yeah,
You have to know your audience. If you're like in the magic industry and you like the magic community, then yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to fry other magicians and just like blow their minds, and show them something new. But for me, for you, I'm guessing for most people, our interests are in performing for lay people. So
yeah.
yeah, the simple stuff is what works the best for us.
There's one question saying, can you do a color change using the pass?
Yeah,
And there's a lot of different ways. One that I'll just do out of thin air, basically, is with the cards face up, and I'll tell the spectator to say any card they see out loud. They say the Queen of Hearts there, and then it's just that same 360-degree pass where you turn the cards over and
yeah,
change the ace to the queen.
that's a cool one.
So that's one.
One of the ones that I really like, it uses like a Herman pass, so you just shake, and the card changes. That wasn't great contrast, or maybe these cards aren't great for color changes actually because they're all purple. But you just shake, and in that process you're doing the Herman pass, and it's actually quite a visual change. I don't know if that looks good on camera. It's kind of far away. Maybe I can bring it closer. So I guess if you want to talk about the technique for a second there, you're doing the Herman pass, right? So you set up for the Herman pass. And the great thing about this color change is like you can show them that there's nothing to hide. Six of spades. You do the pass, and the six of spades isn't anywhere near the top, anywhere near the bottom. It's completely gone. So you set it by doing the Herman pass, and then once you're at this point where your hand is covering that other packet, literally all I'm doing is shaking, and then in the process I'm kind of folding my fingers to square the two packets up, and then it just creates that really nice visual. It's almost like a slow metamorphosis of the card.
A similar look to that one. It's not using like a pass. It's using just one card, but it looks very similar. That I like that you can show like both hands empty. It's the same kind of method that changes a card, but you're only changing one card, so you're not really doing a pass, but it's the same method or idea, but instead of using half the deck, which is good because then you can show that card that you changed it from is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
But that's just one thing. I'm trying to read some more questions.
Yeah, let me go.
Asad, can you show the turnover pass?
Yeah, so turnover pass is pretty cool, but I only do it at a very specific angle. I only do it when people are like this. So bad example. So I guess the way that I would use it is when the deck is already face up, and I want to turn it face down. So let's say the five of diamonds, I would do it like this, and then it's on top. Or actually, I took it to the bottom in that case. So king of spades. So I go like this. And another thing that you can do with the turnover pass is if you bring in the body swing there, it's really nice. So from here, you go here. So this way you're kind of just, you're using your right hand to cover it as you do the body swing. So that's technically a turnover pass right there, but it's kind of just a different motion to it. But honestly, I don't use the turnover pass that much. Pretty rarely.
Yeah, very, very rarely.
It's a great pass, but I like the classic pass, and
I tend
to use that.
Stick to the class. I'll stick to the classic pass or the Hoffman pass. Where if I'm going to do the Herman pass for any reason, it'll be like with the cover of tapping it on my knee or the table.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're about coming to the end. We have about 3 minutes left, so I'm trying to read some questions.
Let's see. This guy wants me to do a simple cut. All right, let's do a simple cut. Let me angle my camera tap. This is a 6-packet Sybil cut. Looks like this. Something like that.
There you go.
There's a tutorial on my channel. You guys can learn it if you want.
Yeah. Asked about it for like the past hour. Sybil cuts. Hope those 6 seconds were worth it. Oh, that's great. How about this? Here's a good question. How would you recover if you lose their card in the deck prior to the pass?
You lose the card in the deck prior.
So like if you take the card and you put it in the middle and it's protruding out, and then you go to like get it, but there's like nothing to really get, so that you end up losing it.
So if you lose your break, basically.
Right. Basically. If you lose your breaker, you lose the jog card.
A good habit to get into is it's good practice, and also it helps in situations like this, is always try to force a card. So even when you don't need to force a card, even if you're doing a trick that it doesn't matter what card they pick, try to do a classic force every time, just for the card. And then if you do happen to hit your force,
and you don't even have to know the card. You just because you can tell when you're, especially with the classic pass, you can tell the card that you're trying to force. So you don't have to know it necessarily.
Yeah, but I guess in the context of what I was saying, like you would actually know it, and then in the event that you lose a break, it's okay because now you can patch it up because you know what the card is, right? Or you could just always have a key card available. I mean,
an easy way to recover a forced card is, I've seen Chris Angel do this on his show all the time. Not that he loses a card, but he'll have the spectator pick a card that he knows, or he needs a card. So let's say it's a 6 of clubs. He'll go through the deck and show them that their card is somewhere in the middle. And when he finds their card, the six of clubs, he just splits the cards apart and puts them together and just like cuts their card to the top. But he does it like right in front of their face. So he just like splits the cards apart and puts them together.
Yeah.
And then their card's back on top. So if you lose that forced card doing a pass, you can basically do like a blatant pass.
Pass.
Control back.
That should be a new move that we come up with. We'll call it the blatant pass.
The blatant pass. There you go. That's a good one.
We got anything else?
Do the brick pass. Well, I'm not that great with the brick pass. I don't really perform the brick pass.
Yeah, I mean
the brick pass is basically the classic pass.
It's basically, yeah, it's a jiggle pass basically.
Yeah.
Jiggle pass and brick pass are essentially the same thing.
Well, it's 3 o'clock. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm gonna go eat a delicious Shamrock cheeseburger
Nice.
with Martha. Say hi. Hey. Wave. So.
Is there a Shamrock in California, or is that just a Michigan thing?
No, there's just one. Only one.
Only one. Sounds like a good lunch.
What's that?
Only one girlfriend.
Only one girlfriend? Yeah, that too.
All right, guys. Well, if we missed any questions, maybe we can go ahead and respond to them in the comments later on.
Yeah, I think we'll do that. Maybe for like if this will be up and live, I'll go back and I'll take like an hour to respond to comments if I can. So, but it's been fun. Thanks for joining me. Assad project going on. If you guys don't, that's like reached 650% or something crazy.
Yeah, it's doing really well right now. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, Foundations of Card Magic. If you guys are interested, it's on Kickstarter. Probably maybe there'll be a link or something, or you can just type it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a DVD. It's my first DVD. It's something like I've been doing for a while now.
It's going to be available for digital download.
Digital download. There's 52 physical copies. They've all been taken, but most of these is going to be available for digital download. And it's a Kickstarter project, so it's going to be big. It's getting a lot of traction right now, and it's set to be released in February is what I'm hoping for.
There's only how many, like 18 more days left or something like that?
I think it's only 10, either 9 or 10 days left in the campaign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I just announced a stretch goal. Maybe some of you will be interested. I'm trying to get to 50,000. I'm at 48,000 right now. If I get to 50,000, I'm also going to release an ebook to go along with the DVD. So this is something that Kickstarter projects do. Even if you already hit the target goal, you come up with stretch goals on ways that you can improve the project if you hit certain benchmarks. So yeah, it's still going strong. 9 days to go. If any of you are interested in, check it out. There's going to be some awesome card magic.
Yeah, you can just go to Kickstarter.com and look up the Foundations of Card Magic. It's inspired me. I'm going to probably do my own Kickstarter, maybe a Disturbed Reality deck of cards.
You should, man. So, yeah, you totally should.
I think so. I think I have a design in mind too. I have new wrestling gear made that has hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades on it and stuff. And it's like it's CM Punk themed or inspired. So I'm thinking trying to incorporate like the design of the gear into the design of the cards maybe, and then change up the colors and stuff will be dope.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I like the t-shirt that you got going on Instagram too.
Oh yeah, I've been playing around with different custom designs, working with a few graphics designers. Yeah. I like the idea of like playing card themed t-shirts. Like I wish I had more myself.
I like the red hearts and red diamonts.
That's the one you like the most.
One color.
I think I might just get all of them printed and let people decide, because some people like the black and white, some people like the colored, so I might just print them both.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun. All this plug and subscribe to Assad on 52 Cards channel, and then How to Disturb Reality. We'll have more new videos. Happy New Year to everyone, really. So
yeah, this was fun. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys practicing the pass, and maybe we should do stuff like this more often. This was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so, and maybe just incorporate more people, more guests into it. Yeah, it's tough to do it on a holiday of sorts.
Right, everyone's eating and sleeping right now.
But yeah, I like the idea of just talking about one subject. So
Yeah.
Hopefully, everyone is sick of the past and they're just, because I know people unsubscribe because I was talking about it too much again. So hopefully you're sick of it, so you never have to ask any more questions ever again. And if you do, I can just turn you onto this series, and then you'll get sick of it. So
Hey, I mean, good for them if they unsubscribe. They weren't supposed to be subscribed to the channel in the first place. If they get unsubscribed for
right.
more tutorials, that means they were unsubscribed for the wrong reason. If they unsubscribe now, so good for them.
It's like, oh my God, too many videos. So, all right, y'all, be safe now.
All right, Happy New Year, everyone, and stay safe and keep practicing magic.
Yeah, keep practicing. Much love.
Peace.